on its surface, the isometric fantasy combat of Demonrock War of Ages seems to ape the classic dungeon crawler style of Diablo. Delve a little deeper, however, and you'll soon realise that this reverse tower defense game is far less broad in its scope. You are given a choice of 4 fighters. 2 of these characters are unlocked, with the others available through in-app purchases. Your choice of character dramatically affects your experience, so having to make this initial selection blind is a little frustrating. The basic gameplay has a lot in common with a MOBA. You lead your character and a summonable army to battle against enemy strongholds. Tapping around the screen will see your character scurry to the desired location, attacking where appropriate, while additional powers and troops can be accessed through on-screen buttons. Controls are responsive and intuitive, but they did little to stop us from feeling detached from the battlefield. With just a single route through each of the game's 4 environments, direct control of our warrior could just as easily have been substituted for a forward and reverse button. In fact, many of Demonrock's issues spring from its single-path arenas. Though there are some basic cosmetic differences, none of the game's 4 arena designs offer enough variation to prove tactically interesting. There are dozens of enemy types, but their predictability means they add very little spice to the levels. In fact, the only real challenge was making sure we had leveled up all of our equipment and stayed awake long enough to use the special abilities. These are all issues which MOBAs, a genre from which Demonrock borrows heavily, hide through their multiplayer nature. Here, laid bare against a computer-controlled army with no human counterbalance, it proves overly simplistic and bland. Demonrock War of Ages is a good starting point for a larger experience. If multiplayer was an option, or if the maps were more varied and complex, then its intuitive controls and more complex mechanics might have drawn us in. As it stands, they are simply the trim on a pair of +2 boots of mediocrity. This has been James with AppSpy.com. We review, you decide.